The day I was released from prison, the whole world turned its back on me. Only that girl stood under the rain, looked at me and asked, "Do you want to marry me?" I used to think she just pitied me. Not until she passed away did I realize the person who loved me the most was actually the one I hurt the deepest. At the time I was down and out, bankrupt and at rock bottom. Liu Yinian married me. Everyone said. She married me just to spite my younger brother. But after she passed away in a car accident, she left her entire inheritance to me, along with a voice recorder. I gently turned on the voice recorder. It was her sweet and charming voice. "And Ran, could you please like me even just a little bit?" After so many years, I finally saw through what she had been hiding beneath the surface. An intense and great love, in a daze. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reincarnated. Madame Yang was tightly holding my hand and saying, "Anran, can you go to prison in place of your younger brother?" Before I turned 26, I was the proud young master of the N family. Parents loved me, older sister spoiled me, living a carefree life until one day. Anbaida brought a DNA test result right to the door. Only then did I know the nurse switched the babies back then. He was the real young master of the N family. I was just a fake. Young master, a cuckoo occupying another's nest. Originally I wanted to leave, but my biological parents had passed away long ago. The An family also couldn't bear to let me become an orphan, so they officially adopted me. My adoptive parents treated me very well. My older sister wasn't cold to me either, and Ida never made things difficult for me. I was truly very grateful. But later backstage at a film set, Anbaida got into a dispute with an actor from the crew. During the scuffle, that person fell down the stairs and fell into a vegetative state. At that time, there was no surveillance camera, but someone still needed to step up and take responsibility. And at that moment, I just happened to be there. Witnessing the whole event, Madame Yang came to find me with tears in her eyes, begging me to take the blame for Baida. Baida knelt down in front of me, kowtowing and slapping his own face, saying he wronged me, so I nodded. I took the fall for Anbaida, went to prison and tasted all kinds of misery. At first, the whole family still came to visit, me shedding tears of shame or regret. But gradually, no one came anymore. Once the prison organized an activity, and the guard asked us about our plans after release, I thought for a long time before seriously writing down that after getting out, I wanted to see my parents once. The cellmate next to me saw this, and mocked me, asking why I wrote something so simple. I just smiled and didn't argue. But on the day I actually got out of prison, absolutely no one showed up. Only the assistant of the An family drove me to the airport and handed me a large sum of money. He said nothing, but I understood everything. My parents didn't want me anymore. The An family had abandoned me. I didn't reject the money to act high and mighty. I just didn't want to owe the An family anymore. The An family raised me for over 25 years. And I also sat in prison for 5 years in place of their son, so we're even. I rented a room, hustled everywhere, and finally found a job. That didn't mind my criminal past. But after working for just half a month, I was fired. I pressed for answers and they said, "You offended someone you shouldn't have." I froze for a moment, completely speechless. The someone I shouldn't have offended, besides the and family, who else could it be? That day I carried my bags and walked down the street. In the drizzling rain, cold raindrops blew against my face with the wind. As I passed by the central square, a big screen was broadcasting Baida's event. I stopped and looked up at him, looking so sharp on the award stage, confidently flexing his charisma. As the camera panned, I saw my adoptive father and adoptive mother with tears in their eyes, looking at him, as if looking at a precious treasure, rarely seen in this world, her eyes brimming with love. For some reason, I suddenly remembered when I first went to prison. During the very first visitation, seeing how quickly I had emaciated my adoptive mother, cried while telling me that in the future, Mom will take care of you for the rest of your life. Mom loves you. Yet 2 years before I saw her for the last time, her face only showed a faint trace of guilt. And Baida is about to get engaged to Liu Niwan. He really loves her. After you get out of prison, can you leave this place just to prevent the Liu family from finding out about the past? Liu Niwan, the eldest miss of the Liu family. There was a TV in prison, so occasionally I also heard about Anbaida and Liu Niwan's love deep as the ocean. Everyone said Liu Niwan was a famous social butterfly in the circle. But for Anbaida, she changed her ways and stepped into the entertainment industry that she used to look down on the most, personally presenting awards to him, paving the way for his career, and connecting him with networks. Sometimes I also felt jealous of Anbaida, jealous that he had loving parents, and a girlfriend who completely spoiled him. In just a few short years, he had both a career and love. Unlike me, no parents, no career, no lover, and absolutely no one to care about me. As for Liu Niwan, my story with her later on was actually an accident. After being fired, I returned to my hometown to work as a waiter in a restaurant and was quite busy. I don't know where she got the information, but when she found me, I was serving beer to customers. That man had too much to drink and started harassing the female boss. I frowned and slapped him. Furious, he kicked me hard to the ground, beer bottles and food spilled all over me. Even though I was lying there in pain, he still wasn't satisfied, cursing out loud and preparing to strike again. But the next second, all sound suddenly stopped. I opened my eyes to look and caught the gaze of Liu Yuan. Her eyes were as bright as the stars. She curled her lips into a smirk, but it felt lacking in any real sincerity. And Ran, have you really hit rock bottom like this? I stood up, brushing off the food scraps from my body, gave a nod, and then intended to walk past her to leave. But I had only taken 2 steps when I heard her voice ring out from behind. And Ran, so I didn't turn back to look at her. Seeing you in such a miserable state, do you want to marry me? Are you crazy? Liu Yuan observed me seriously, her eyes darkening, showing absolutely no emotion. But when she opened her mouth, it was a moment of truth. To be honest with you, I was dumped by your younger brother on Baida. I'm in a bad mood, and you've been pushed to this extent by the An family. We can barely be considered an alliance of victims. Anyway, you have nothing left right now, so marrying me won't hurt you at all. What are you afraid of? I thought for a moment, saying nothing while she silently waited for me, until a cold gust of wind blew by making me shiver instinctively. Liu Yuan took off her high-end, custom-made overcoat and draped it over my shoulders. Inside my breath, it was entirely filled with the faint scent lingering from her body. Later on, when the news of my marriage to Liu Yuan spread, the upper class completely lost their minds. Everyone said Liu Yuan married me just to make a clean break with Anbaida. During the wedding, when Liu Yuan said I do, I noticed Anbaida down in the crowd, his eyes completely red from crying, leaving the venue completely devastated. I glanced at Liu Yuan in front of me, but she just smiled, not even bothering to give Anbaida a single glance, as if she had never loved him, as if she truly didn't care. After getting married, Liu Yuan treated with me very well, arranging for me a job as her close assistant, and we were always attached to each other like shadow and form. When I asked her why, she smiled playfully. I'm not at ease leaving a major heartthrob at home alone. What if a thief comes and steals you away? If I lose this pure husband of mine, won't I take a massive loss? I smiled at her lack of seriousness and didn't even bother to argue with her. During those years in prison, I had suffered way too much misery. My body could no longer handle any kind of torment anymore, what was just a common cold to normal people. If it were me coughing, it would turn into a severe illness. Later, Liu Yuan invited famous doctors to treat me, and my health finally improved a little bit. By my hospital bed, she held my hand, sincerely calling out softly, and ran, I've already bought you, your life is mine. You're not allowed to die before me. Even though I knew her words were just childish talk, seeing the slight bitterness in her eyes, in the end, I still nodded. I didn't understand why she was so melancholic like that, but I had long learned that not prying and not causing trouble is the only way to grow old together. But in the end, the one who broke the promise wasn't me, but Liu Yuan herself. Mr. An, at 4:10 a.m. yesterday, Miss Liu passed away due to a severe traffic accident. Despite all efforts to save her, please accept our condolences. The hospital room door could finally be opened. The Liu family parents were crying uncontrollably. Liu Yuan's funeral was handled entirely by me. 5 years after our marriage, many people were still not very optimistic about my marriage with her. And Baida, on the other hand, turned his love into hatred, constantly waiting to see me become a laughingstock. When the Liu family parents left, their backs no longer had any of that energy they used to have. A week later, Liu Yuan's lawyer brought the inheritance transfer document to me. Before leaving, he handed me a voice recorder. This is her final wish, Miss Liu. It has been successfully restored, and I thought you might need it. In her, well, Liu Yuan left all her property and shares to me. I turned the voice recorder on. It was Liu Yuan's sweet voice. And ran my marrying you was never because I was throwing a tantrum at Anne. Baida, the tantrum part was true. I froze for a moment, but my heart felt unusually calm, as if I had already anticipated this all along. Perhaps you forgot a long time ago, but we actually met very early on. It was when you were an upperclassman, the idol everyone in school paid attention to, and the teacher's pet. My mentor even mentioned you all the time. After talking with your teacher, he would always grumpily tell me, Yuan, I hate you right now, stay away from me a bit. I instinctively let out a chuckle, but the very next moment that smile slowly faded. Back then I really hated you, but I couldn't help but keep tabs on you. It seems I was a bit too afraid to show myself, hey. But then you had to go to prison for so-called intentional injury. I tried every way to investigate it clearly, but unfortunately the An family wiped all the tracks clean. So I targeted An, Baida. It turned out Liu Yuan and Anbaida's love story that everyone kept hyping up was just an excuse for her to find the truth about my imprisonment. But Liu Yuan didn't expect that. Anbaida's lips would be sealed so tight. Yet in the end, she still found a clue. I suddenly remembered before we got married, there was a day Liu Yuan excitedly asked me, and Rand, do you want revenge? I shook my head and said no. Everything was already over. After so many years, I finally understood That day must have been when she uncovered the truth. For my sake, she investigated the truth. Yet for my sake, she also hid that truth away. It turned out it was all because the emotions inside my heart churned violently. Then again, I ended up deceiving everyone. And I also deceived you too. So my acting skills are definitely top tier. Do you know, when I came to find you and told you to marry me, how adorable your expression and look were? Oh well, I'm rambling too much again. Actually, I've always wanted to ask you a question. Ayn Rand, could you please like me even just a little bit? In this lifetime, I probably won't get to hear your answer. So in the next life, when I come looking for you, make sure to let me know, okay? I heard her final words crystal clear. I really like you so much. The emotions I had bottled up for so long suddenly shattered at this very moment. Tears kept falling drop by drop just like that. Not until today did I finally understand Liu Nuan's love, a love that was both intense and deeply hidden. But perhaps everything was already too late. In the empty living room on the table, there was still the bouquet of lilies that Liu Nuan had brought home a few days ago. I had always liked lilies, so she cherished them like a treasure and brought them right to me. And Rand, does it smell good? I went out of my way to pick each one of them myself. From now on, just let me replace the flowers in the house. Yes, it smells great. Back then, the broken smile in her eyes was like a gentle starlight. How could I utter even a single word of no? Yet the one who made the promise lied. She had already left first, taking the last bit of life from the lilies with her. The moonlight pierced through the floor-to-ceiling window, draping over me. I reached out my hand intending to touch it, but only felt a bone-chilling coldness. I sought out Lawyer Chen. Lawyer Chen, please donate all of Liu Nuan's assets to the orphanage. I don't want to take anything from her. Mr. An, did you ever love CEO Liu? I just smiled, but didn't give an answer. I lived my life in a daze, not knowing how many days and months had passed, only remembering that on that day I fell, critically ill, lying on the hospital bed. I looked up at the ceiling, recalling that day when Lawyer Chen asked me whether I had ever loved Liu Nuan. I did love her. I have always loved her so much. In a daze, my consciousness gradually faded away, until I opened my eyes again. Madame Yang was tightly holding my hand, and ran, Mom begs you to save your younger brother. Your younger brother is still so young. How could he possibly go to prison? I really know I was wrong. I didn't mean to do it. I don't want to go to prison. I'm a big star. If I have to go to prison, my whole life will be completely ruined. Anbaida knelt flat on the ground, crying miserably while my adoptive father held him tightly. Son, my son, it's going to be okay. Meanwhile, my adoptive mother was gripping my hand, not letting go. Her face was drenched in tears, speaking through her chokes. Yet her words were dead serious. And Ran, can you go to prison in place of your younger brother? I silently stared at this devil-like adoptive mother in front of me. There are no surveillance cameras at the scene. Only you and Baida were there. As long as you admit that you accidentally pushed that actor, the police won't find out anything. And Ran, rest assured. After you go to prison, Mom will definitely help you arrange everything properly. Once you are released from prison, the Ann family will also take care of you for the rest of your life. In my past life, she had also said the exact same thing. But the warranty period didn't even last past a single year. A promise, once it expires, naturally no longer holds any value. I gently brushed my adoptive mother's hand away and said no. In my past life inside prison, I was kicked out of the single cell. And because of my good looks, I was targeted and bullied by a few guys, getting beaten and cursed at suffering beyond words. Only my older sister Anne, Quinny, would occasionally come to visit me, until I got poisoned from crushed glass in my food. When I was bailed out for medical treatment, my adoptive mother came to my hospital bed. That day, she looked down on me from above, her expression showing a hint of helplessness. She said, after all, that's a prison, not some vacation resort. Suffering is completely unavoidable. And Ren, don't be so weak. Baida is about to go on a business trip abroad. I'm not at ease, and he probably won't have time to visit you in the future. My adoptive mother froze, perhaps not expecting that someone who had always been as obedient as me would dare to reject her. I was reincarnated not to repeat the same mistake. I spoke up again, serious and resolute. Mom, I thank you for raising me for 25 years, but I don't want to trade my whole life for that. If you want to call me selfish, go ahead, or call me an ungrateful bastard. I don't care, but I won't take the fall for him. And ran till my rejection made my adoptive father fly into a furious rage. You enjoyed so many benefits from the N family all these years, yet you refused to make even a little sacrifice. My adoptive mother and Anbaida cried even more miserably, but seeing that I was unyielding and refused to obey, they worried I would run away, so they locked me in my room. Only my older sister, Anchueni, didn't say a single word from beginning to end, just like in my past life. My adoptive mother confiscated my phone, but she didn't know I still had a backup phone. Turning on the phone, the news about Fang Yuan suddenly being severely injured yesterday and ending up in a vegetative state was already topping the hot search bar. Clues were very scarce, with only paparazzi having captured a photo of a silhouette from behind, along with the claim that Anbaida and his older brother An Ran I'd been alone with Fang Yuan for a period of time. The police must be on their way here right now. I scrolled through my backup phone and instinctively typed out a string of phone numbers. Looking at those familiar numbers, I froze for a moment, but in the end I didn't make the call. For some reason, there was always fear in my heart. Fear that the person on the other end wasn't someone I knew, and even more fear that the dream would shatter and I would never see her again. I stood up and pulled. The curtains open, the warm sunlight pierced through the window and shone upon my body, carrying a slight chill. I saw the police outside the door, and the malicious gaze of my adoptive father looking toward me. I intended to send a text message to Liu Niyuan for help. In the past life, Liu Niyuan saved me. But in this life, I must save myself. And then openly, rightfully, and with full dignity walk to Liu Niyuan's side. Madam, please confirm one more time. Where were you when the incident occurred? Facing the interrogation of the police, I completely ignored Madam Yang's pleading eyes. In the past life, the case could smoothly wrap up and convict me, because I had proactively confessed, and even provided more evidence myself. But in this life, I won't be that foolish again. The bond and gratitude over the past 25 years had already faded away completely in my past life. Not harboring hatred is already my ultimate limit. In contrast to my calm and relaxed demeanor, it made Anbaida even more panicked and guilty. When Anbaida was taken away, Madame Yang wailed miserably. How can this be? Release him, let my son go. My adoptive father's face was dark and gloomy, occasionally glaring at me with a look as if looking at an enemy, wishing he could chop me into 100 pieces. We must take him back to the station. Son, don't be afraid of anything. Mom will find a way. At this moment, Anchueni approached me and ran the An. Family has no place for you anymore. You should leave here. Do you blame me, sister? Anchueni froze for a moment and she didn't answer. She remained silent. And Ran, you are also my younger brother. This line, she had also said the exact same thing in my past life. She had advised me not to take the fall. I had asked her why. She looked down at me, her eyes like the wind and rain, both gentle and filled with pity. It's just that in my past life, I failed her advice. But this time, I decided to listen. My adoptive parents probably hate me to the bone right now. Staying around would only bring more misery anyway. Goodbye, sister. Take care. N. Ran, live your own life well. After packing my luggage, I walked out of the An estate. Walking down the avenue covered in sycamore leaves, I looked ahead. The wind blew past, sweeping up layers of fallen leaves. At this moment, the sunlight shining on my body felt so warm. Right at that moment, a figure suddenly appeared right in front of me and ran. Where are you planning to go? I froze for a moment. That's right, the woman in front of me was exactly Liu Niyuan. To be more precise, it was a Liu Niyuan who was many years younger. But the memories of the past flashed through my mind as fast as lightning. At this exact moment, my heart pounded wildly and continuously, my eyes unable to look away from her for even a single second. A grown man like you, why are you crying? Did something happen? Was I crying? Crying over what? Getting to see her again. I should have been overjoyed. Honestly, but those emotions suppressed deep down in my heart, from my past life had turned into tears, gushing out from the depths of my heart, and just like that, the tears kept falling uncontrollably. Liu Niyuan's gaze landed on my suitcase for a brief moment, and then she spoke up and ran. Are you running away from home? I joked. Yeah, right now I'm running away from home. Do you want to take me in for a few days? Sure, if you dare to come over, I dare to take you in. Just like that, I followed Liu Niyuan back to her apartment. Cold and quiet. That was exactly her style. In my past life after Liu Niyuan passed away, I used to live here for a period of time. I was all too familiar with the layout of this place. Familiarly, I walked into the restroom located deep inside, partly to remember her and partly as a form of nostalgia. Looking at myself in the mirror with swollen, red eyes looking like an absolute mess, I let out a soft sigh. I felt so embarrassed. I had clearly made up my mind to face Liu Niyuan in a proper, dignified way. Yet every time we met, I was always a wretched mess like this. Walking out of the restroom, Liu Niyuan was leaning against the door, waiting for me. She asked me what had happened. I calmly recounted everything that just took place. Between me and her, there was nothing to hide. After listening, Liu Niyuan paused slightly for a moment. So the An family wanted you to take the fall? I nodded, but I already refused. This matter won't end that easily. Although Feng Yuan is severely injured and hasn't woken up yet, there is currently no physical evidence at all, so they can only wait until he wakes up to decide the case. Even though right now, Anbaida is considered a major suspect by the police, it doesn't mean you are completely cleared of suspicion. The more she spoke, the gloomier her expression became. So I suddenly spoke up to interrupt her. Classmate Niyuan, I'm a bit hungry. Make something for me to eat, please. Seeing my eyes clear and completely free of tension, she let out a helpless sigh. I'll go cook now. Wait a moment, okay? I nodded. In my past life, my stomach condition was very severe. Liu Niyuan had specifically gone to learn how to cook medicinal meals, entering the kitchen by herself every single day. Her culinary skills were excellent. I used to think she knew how to cook from the start, But at this moment, looking at the bowl of noodles, clumped into a single ball that she brought out, I suddenly realized that Liu Niyuan was a rich young miss. Since the beginning, there were only other people serving her. How could she know how to cook right from the start? She learned it for me. It was always for me. I picked up the chopsticks and took a bite. Liu Niyuan looked at me full of anticipation, her eyes sparkling like little stars, incredibly beautiful, looking exactly like the woman in my memory who once smiled and asked me whether I liked her. I lowered my head, suppressing the aching emotion. I nodded vigorously. It's delicious. It's just a little bit salty, but I really like it. Because I said it was a bit salty. In the end, that bowl of noodles was thrown into the trash can. She picked up her chopsticks, tasted a bite, and the next second it went straight into the trash can. It's really terrible. Although, I don't know how to cook. It shouldn't be this bad, right? Haha. It's fine. In the future, your cooking will definitely be very delicious. Why is that, babe? Because you are my only diner in the future. And Ran, you are mine. What do you mean, a lover? You are the person I love the most. I thought Liu Niyuan would be stunned, or would frown and question me to get to the bottom of it. But her expression just softened slightly, her eyes curving just a bit, and the corners of her lips curled up. Her usual nonchalant and casual demeanor vanished, looking incredibly sincere. Just like that, I stayed at Liu Niyuan's house for a whole half a month. The most fun part was waiting for Liu Niyuan to come home. She would bustle about in the kitchen, showing off her cooking skills, while I leaned against the door quietly watching her. Occasionally, I'd give her a hand under the warm yellow light. She wore her hair in a messy bun, exposing her beautiful face that still held a trace of innocence, as if covered by a soft velvet veil, exuding a gentle and pure aura. Compared to the ruthless, decisive CEO Liu of my past life, the current her was a bit more youthful and tender. This was a period of time I had never been a part of, nor had I ever known about. As I witnessed Liu Niyuan's cooking skills improving day by day, the An family finally couldn't sit still anymore. I used to think that the An family would absolutely never let An Ida confess and go to prison just like that. But what I didn't expect was that the An family actually bribed Feng Yuan's manager to claim that I was the real culprit. Truly shameless, truly despicable. And Ran is not our biological child. Back then the babies were switched. And Baida is our real biological child. Baida is my biological son, but he hasn't enjoyed a comfortable life for many days. And now he's even framed and forced to go to prison. An Ran, I am truly too disappointed in you. Mom, please don't be sad. Brother must have made a mistake in a moment of confusion. If I can atone for him, I am willing to. As long as he can be filial to you, that's enough. The person who did wrong must take responsibility. What isn't yours, you don't need to carry. I understand. Raise your head on Baida. Face them. Don't be afraid. And Ran, the An family has raised you for so many years. We hope you can step up and atone for your mistake. The video was leaked online, sparking a wave of fierce criticism against me, calling me an ungrateful, unprincipled bastard, accusing me of refusing to own up to my actions, and biting the hand that fed me. My personal accounts were also doxed, and every day my DMs were completely blowing up. As for the people who actually cared about me, I would respond to them one by one. Those who demanded I confess, I blocked immediately. Even old classmates called me to check up on my situation. The outside world was in nonstop chaos, but I didn't do a single thing. No matter how the An family intentionally played tricks to provoke me, as long as the police didn't summon me, I was still innocent. Why should I let myself get flustered and fall into the trap of trying to prove my own innocence? Liu Niyuan got the news and rushed back home. The moment she opened her mouth, she called out, "And Ran, I can help you." I was about to smile and say, "No need," but before I could finish my sentence, for some unknown reason, I suddenly remembered an incident from my past life. A heated argument. Calling it heated is an understatement. It was actually just because Liu Niyuan treated me too well, making quite a few people green with envy. Someone behind my back leaked the fact that I had been in prison, and the internet was filled with malicious insults. But at the end of the day, it all came down to me not being good enough for Liu Niyuan. Liu Niyuan wanted to help me shut down the rumors. She wanted me to attend a press conference with her to sue those internet trolls. But I felt it was completely unnecessary. I had indeed been in prison before, even though my conscience was clear. I didn't want Liu Niyuan to get dragged into the drama because of it. But this completely enraged Liu. She coldly questioned me. "Have you ever even put me in your heart? Have you ever regarded me as your wife?" Back then, I just thought remaining silent would be better, ignoring the gossip people threw around, finding it completely absurd, deliberately looking for a fight. After a long silence, she let out a mocking laugh and said, "You want to live your life entirely pure and blameless, but I can't stand seeing other people pointing fingers at you." I remained silent, not wanting to answer her. When Liu Niyuan walked away, I watched her go, but only saw her lonely figure from behind. At that moment, I felt a slight tinge of regret, thinking to myself that maybe I should have just agreed with her and been done with it. After all, it was just a small matter. But I never expected that would be the last time we ever saw each other. After she passed away, I asked myself over and over again, why didn't I just stand by her side? Why didn't I just express my feelings to let her know? That meticulous care, down to every single detail. That focused gaze brimming with affection. Could it be that I really didn't notice it? Did she love me? I clearly knew the answer. But I was just a bastard lying to himself. I had taken for granted that Liu Nyuan would be with me until we grew old. So I selfishly immersed myself in her love without ever bothering to soothe her constantly anxious and insecure heart. Not until she passed away did I understand what love truly meant. For a love that is realized too late. The cruelest thing is that before you even have a chance to confess or a chance to get closer, it is already completely gone, leaving absolutely no opportunity anymore. Being born again for another lifetime. The heavens have given me a chance to make amends. I tightly hugged Liu Nyuan. I gasped slightly and then said, okay, please help me. I looked at her. My heart tangled with 100 different emotions. The faint fragments of memories from my past life, along with that timid yet deep confession in the voice. Recorder intertwined with one another, making my chest ache with choked emotions. I smiled not out of bitterness, but with a gentle warmth as if a heavy burden had been lifted, and a sense of total reliance. This time I will never push her away again, nor will I let her quietly sacrifice herself all alone and carry everything by herself anymore. Liu Nyuan's ability to take action was truly mind-blowing. She mobilized the forces of the Liu family to start, secretly investigating the cruise backstage on the day of the incident along with all clues from the surveillance cameras around, just as she predicted. Although the An family had quickly wiped clean all the public evidence by monitoring the neighboring streets, the shops as well as the cameras of other film crews that were shooting nearby at that exact time. And after filtering through a massive amount of data, we finally found a blurry but extremely crucial video. In the video, although the footage was not very sharp, through the unique jacket that An Baida wore that day and his prominent bleached hair could be clearly seen, that he had engaged in a heated argument with actor Fang Yuan, and during the scuffle pushed Fang Yuan down the stairs. This time, I won't let him achieve his goal. Although the evidence wasn't high quality, it was enough to become a breakthrough. And Baida obviously found out through some channel that we were gathering evidence, so he became desperate and cornered like a rat. He had someone kidnap Liu Nyuan, then called me, demanding to exchange all the original evidence, and hand over the evidence right now. Otherwise, it'll be hard to guarantee Liu Nyuan's life. Abandoned warehouse number 3. Only you are allowed to come alone. Bring all the original evidence to exchange for her. And Baida's voice revealed absolute madness. My heart was burning with anxiety. Following the address he provided, I arrived at an abandoned warehouse. Inside the warehouse, An Baida was standing among a gang of thugs and delinquents. Where is the stuff? And Baida, do you want to play dirty? I'll give it to you. But first release Nyuan. And Baida's eyes flashed with greed and smugness. It was also at this exact moment that I recognized the thugs standing beside him. They were the exact same people who in prison during my past life had used every single method to torture me. It turned out that wasn't a coincidence. From beginning to end, it was all in Baida's setup. He didn't just want me to take the fall, but also wanted me to suffer every kind of torture in prison, preferably never to come out again. Instant rage instantly overwhelmed my rationality. I handed the flash drive over to Anbaida. After successfully getting Liu Nyuan back, I suddenly lunged toward Anbaida, trying to snatch the flash drive back. The scene immediately fell into chaos. Those thugs fought with extreme brutality and were incredibly aggressive. I fought with all my might to protect Liu Nyuan, fighting while retreating. In the midst of the chaos, I blocked an iron bar swinging down for Liu Nyuan. My back burned with agonizing pain like fire. But in the end, I managed to get her out of the warehouse just in the nick of time. The stuff was taken anyway. On that day, the flash drive was still snatched away by Anbaida. He laughed out loud in smug satisfaction and along with his henchmen, quickly retreated. He thought that having completely destroyed the evidence, he could sleep soundly with his feet up. If it hurts, just say it. Don't force yourself. It's fine compared to earlier. It's much better now. Don't take such risks like this in the future, promise me. Just when Anbaida thought everything had blown over and was preparing to hold a press conference to clear up the misunderstanding, Fang Yuan's manager woke up. He said that you were the one who pushed him. The police are already on their way. Shocking news came from the hospital. Fang Yuan, the vegetative patient who was in a comatose state, had actually woken up. After Fang Yuan woke up, the first thing he did was directly name to the police that it was An Baida who, during their argument, had pushed him down the stairs. And Baida pushed me down the stairs. At the same time, An brought forward the evidence from Liu Nyuan. That was the surveillance camera footage that she had told him to back up beforehand. The evidence was concrete. The case was ironclad, and Anbaida's crimes were completely exposed. The police immediately proceeded to arrest Anbaida. Anbaida was in utter panic. He drove like a maniac to escape, and on his getaway route, a horrific traffic accident occurred, killing him on the spot. As for the young punks with him, they were all suspected of being involved in criminal charges for kidnapping Liu Nyuan and intentionally inflicting injuries on me, so they were all rounded up by the police. After hearing the news of Anbaida's death, Madame Yang could not accept this reality. Her mind completely collapsed, and she became depressed and reclusive, washing her face with tears all day long. My adoptive father, after going through the ultimate grief and a series of consecutive shocks, seemed to finally see through many things. He felt deeply regretful about his past stubbornness and coldness. If I can still make amends, I will definitely do it, to leave this place of grief, and also to give my adoptive mother a new environment to recuperate. He decided to take her abroad to settle down. My older sister took charge and revived the family business of the N. Family, breaking free from the shackles of family drama. She truly lived her own life. I will make the reputation of the An family glorious once again in my hands. On a warm sunny afternoon, I watched her meticulously trimming the freshly bought lily branches, her side profile under. The sunlight was beautiful beyond words. A massive sense of happiness filled my heart. I walked over and gently hugged her waist from behind, resting my chin on her shoulder and softly called out, Liu Nyuan, let me tell you, do you know I really, really like you? Liu Nyuan blinked slightly, a light sparkling in her eyes that was even brighter than the stars. I like you too, Unran. Two lovers who had gone through the tribulations of 2 lifetimes could finally express the feelings buried deep in their hearts, confessing everything to each other without any reservations, even through high mountains and long rivers, or shifting time and space. Nothing can stop us from holding each other tight. After everything had finally settled down, the life of me and Liu Nyuan finally returned to peace. We often sat together quietly, our eyes meeting occasionally, or looking at each other with a smile. I am a reincarnator. Right after coming back to life, I immediately went to the An estate, but found that the An family was still completely harmonious. Anran was still the coolest male god, and the smartest guy in the entire academy. Not the Anran of the past life who looked gentle on the outside, but actually had a heart long covered in deep scars. Ran had no sense of security, prison life was too brutal, and he was constantly targeted and hated by others. Those inmates frequently tortured him on purpose in the middle of the night, making it so that after getting out, even if he managed to fall asleep, just a tiny noise was enough to startle him awake. And after that, he couldn't close his eyes anymore, just sitting blankly like that all night long. But even so, during the day, he could still complete his work perfectly without a single mistake, and Ran was as fragile as snow, yet as resilient as a cedar tree. It seemed as if just a single ray of sunlight could melt him, but in reality, he was rock solid and completely unbreakable. I both loved you and admired you. At the school's opening ceremony, Ran, in his capacity as a student council president, went up to give a speech. I sat below the stage watching you from afar. You confidently exuded your own unique charm, showing off your profound knowledge, making it impossible for me to look away, and listening to you completely mesmerized. The Ran of this moment was exactly the young boy in my memory, a pure model student. Ran stood on the podium as the wind blew past, making his hair sway gently. The sunlight seemed to show him favoritism, painting a pale golden hue all over his body. In that exact moment, I suddenly felt how great it would be if time could just stop at this very second. Random mind would never have to endure those hardships, and painful hardships, forever keeping that purity. Laughing when truly happy, crying when truly sad, not trapped by those rumors and whispers, and not having to walk on eggshells around others. How wonderful that would be. I knew that sooner or later, Anbaida would cause trouble, so I used my connections early on, at that fateful secluded stairwell, to secretly install a pinhole camera. I originally intended to drop the evidence at the clutch moment, to help Enran completely escape the moral guilt tripping of the An family. In this life, he didn't repeat his past mistakes. He refused to take the fall, dragging his simple luggage along. He left the place that had long ceased to be a home. I stood from afar quietly watching you silently walk down the road, covered in sycamore leaves. The sound of your shoes crushing the fallen leaves made a faint rustling noise, and the sunlight elongated your shadow. Your thin figure exuded an unprecedented determination. At that exact moment, I understood. Anran had also been reincarnated. I brought him back to my place. I wanted to know his attitude this time, wanted to see how he would settle the scores and grudges with the An family. I pretended to know absolutely nothing, deliberately messing around in the kitchen for a long time. Honestly, I knew early on that I was terrible at it, but I just wanted to expose a little bit of vulnerability in front of him, losing my usual calm and composed demeanor. When that horribly clumped up bowl of noodles was served right in front of you, and I saw your dazed expression, the little schemes hidden in my heart, guided you bit by bit, wanting you to realize the feelings I had buried for so many years, wanting to see your heart flutter and get flustered because of me. I should have been overjoyed. After all, this was the exact scene I had longed for throughout 2 lifetimes, but the moment I saw your eyes welling up with tears, all my calculations and all my setups turned into an overwhelming heartache filling my entire soul. Forget it then. He was never a chess game to be bet on. Me loving him is enough. Whether you love me right now or not doesn't seem to matter anymore. Later, when I was kidnapped by Bida, I thought Onran would definitely come. I understood him, but I didn't want him to come here. It was too dangerous. This time, he was no longer silent, no longer enduring it for my sake. He chose the most direct and dangerous path. In the end, Anran grabbed my hand fighting while retreating and finally broke out of the warehouse. At that moment, Ran proactively pulled me into his arms, his embrace tightening so hard, his warm breath brushing against my neck and shoulder, carrying a slight tremble. Liu Yuan, have I told you yet? I really like you. At this moment, I felt all the waiting, all the grievances, had finally found a home. I fought back the stinging tears in my eyes, responding to my lover, I like you too, and ran. People say that those who love each other will meet again. I think the sunlight on the day of our reunion must be the warmest light in this world.